Jim Jordan, Freedom Caucus member with us. By the way, hour 2, Sean Hannity Show, 800-941-SEAN, our toll-free telephone number. What did you think of the president's exchange with Pelosi and Schumer today?
Sean, I loved it. I mean, this is why the American people elected this guy president, because he is standing firm and going to. This is not about shutdown. This is about doing what we said, doing what we told the voters we were going to do. And one of the central promises made in the 2016 campaign is that we were going to build a border security wall. We were going to get control of the border. And the president is standing firm for that. We took a position as a Freedom Caucus last night that we will only think about supporting this big spending bill if, in fact, we do what the president said today. So I thought it was great, and I think the American people think the same thing.
Well, look, as you know, he pointed out that, everywhere the wall is, it's 100% certainty we stop all illegal immigration. Also, it's good. Yeah. We saw a potential catastrophe building with the caravan, in as much as if what happened at the southern border of Mexico, and it was attempted up here, had happened up here, and we didn't have the means to stop them, then at that point it becomes unlimited illegal immigration into the country. And also, it was bad enough to watch rocks and bottles being thrown at our ICE guys and the Border Patrol people, but it was happening right before our eyes.
Yeah. The president is, so this is common sense, and the president is standing strong for common sense reform here. Build a wall and reform our asylum law. Stop the catch and release, change our asylum law, and if you do those two things, this caravan phenomena that we've watched the last several weeks, that's how you deal with it. That's how you send the right message. That's how you have orderly, legal immigration, not what we've been seeing the last several weeks with this caravan and the attempts to try to get over the wall, under the wall, through the fence, all the things they're trying to do. So, I love what the president did. He stood firm there, and I think this is where we got to be. Stand firm for doing what we told the American people we were going to do. More importantly, what they elected us to do. Any
insight as to what's going on with Mark Meadows? I keep reading his name all over the place as a potential candidate for chief of staff, which I'm sure you would probably like, because then it's a coup for you, and you'd be probably back in the driver's seat.
Well,
as chairman, you were the chairman, right? But you lost your chairmanship.
I love when you bring it up. You're the honorary member, You're the only honorary member outside of our group that's in the Freedom Caucus.
You're the only people I trust. Honestly, I will tell you, one person that is impressing me more and more is Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham said, no, this is a fight we're going to have, and the president's going to win. And he's right. We have to win it, because if not, this never goes away. And it's interesting to watch the Democrats. There's nothing that apparently that the president would offer them that they would take, because they so desperately want to just say no to him and not be seen as making any deals with this president. So that means no progress at all for the country if they follow up on that.
Doesn't matter what the president's for, they're against it. You played the montage there at the front end where it shows all the things they said before. Now they're for the borderless hemisphere, as their candidate for president said in 2016. They're for abolishing ICE. So they've changed dramatically. To your first question, Mark Meadows would be a tremendous chief of staff. I hate to lose him on Capitol Hill because he's my best friend up here, but he would be great for the president. If that's who the president chooses, I think the country and the president and, our entire nation is well served if that's who he picks. But on this immigration issue, Senator Graham is exactly right. Stand firm, Mr. President. Stand firm. Let's get this done. Now we got a few weeks left where we have the majorities in both houses. Let's make it happen.
Well, I said Mitch McConnell saying that he's going to go forward. How do you feel about the prison reform bill? I interviewed Jared Kushner last night. The one thing that had bothered me is one part that Tom Cotton had been pointing out. There can't be any possibility that any violent felons are released as part of that deal. But on the other hand, do you remember Alice Marie Johnson, the woman, when she had her sentence commuted by the president? Yep. And she comes out of prison, 20 plus years in prison, one-time offender. It was a drug deal. And she got out and she said something that I thought was amazing. She said, first, thank you to the president, thanks to the country. And then she went on and said, I'm never going to let you down. Thank you for giving me a second chance. And then I got a chance to interview her, and she's as lovely or more lovely in person.
Yep.
We have to find those people that deserve that second chance and maybe even transform the use of the pardon power of the president. I'd love to see that.
Exactly. We're all in need of God's grace. If you do something wrong, you're going to have to serve your time. But while you're in prison, let's get you the training, the help that you need so that when you do get out, you can go on with your life and get that second chance. And I know Jared has been working hard on this. We think this is the kind of legislation that makes sense. There were some concerns that Senator Cotton raised. I think those are being addressed. We had Mike Lee at our Freedom Caucus meeting last night. Mike's been a strong proponent of this legislation. So, again, I think Jared and the team have done a lot of good work, and let's see if we can get this thing done.
And I think we can. All right, so let's imagine, at first I was a little concerned, and I heard Nadler and some others saying, we're going to end the deep state investigation almost immediately. There's no point. So we all knew that was going to happen. However, we had the testimony of, were you in the testimony when Comey gave it last week?
Heck yeah, the whole time.
Okay, and James Comey literally said in that meeting, well, first of all, he said, I don't remember, some 250 times. Put that aside.
Yep.
He never vetted the dossier. We already knew it, but now he's on record saying they never vetted the dossier, but he put his signature to it, right? And Sally Yates did, and Rod Rosenstein did, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's even worse, Sean. He didn't know anything about Christopher Steele. So it's one thing to take his work, but you don't know anything about the work product, the guy who wrote the work product that you took to the court to get the warrant. He never talked to Christopher Steele, didn't know Christopher Steele was meeting with Broussard, a top Justice Department official, didn't know that Broussard was passing Chris Steele's information to the FBI, didn't know that they had terminated Christopher Steele, didn't know that Christopher Steele continued to give information to the FBI after he was terminated, didn't know any of that, and yet takes his work product to the FISA court to get the warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. That's literally, that was the biggest takeaway I had, is you didn't know squat about the key guy whose work product was the basis for the whole darn thing.
Have you heard about this email chain that John Solomon was reporting about?
Yeah.
Now, there were three buckets that the president has talked about that he would unredact and release to the American people. Bucket one would be the FISA applications. Both the Nunes and Grassley-Graham memos say that the bulk of information came from the dossier that we now know they never vetted. On top of that, Christopher Steele has since, distanced his own self from that by saying, I have no idea if any of it's true, when he was threatened with perjury in an interrogatory in Great Britain. So, but then we want the 302s, Gang of Eight, but there's also this email letter chain. Comey is on it. And what can you tell us about it?
I asked him about it. He didn't know it. That was another one of his 245 I don't know. So I did ask him about an email chain relative to the fact that Christopher Steele, this was in Mr. Solomon's reporting, and I went basically from Mr. Solomon's reporting that Mr. Steele had met with reporters in September 2016 prior to, his dossier being taken to the FISA court as the basis for the Carter Page FISA. So I asked him about that. He didn't know anything about it. And I specifically asked him, so you didn't know anything about Christopher Steele possibly meeting with Michael Isikoff of Yahoo News? He didn't know anything about that either. I do think we need to come back to that and explore it deeper, because it was basically two questions is all I got a chance to ask him about. I think we need to dig a little deeper into that. But he didn't know anything, and that's what he told us in the deposition last week.
So we have the sentencing memos. This is what the whole Mueller investigation has become: lying to the FBI, lying to law enforcement about taxi medallions, loan applications, not paying your taxes, which is really stupid if you don't pay them. You got to pay your taxes, because that's the easiest way they're going to throw anybody in jail. And so we have all of this hysteria by the media and the left, and they're all throwing around the word impeachment. By the way, these are the people that have been hating on the president from day one and even before he got elected. The reality is you can't indict a sitting president. That's DOJ policy, period. Neither the special counsel nor the SDNY nor Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein can defy that policy. Not only that, there is no campaign finance violation here for a multitude of reasons, which I went into earlier today.
Right. No, right. I mean, this is all about, Cohen did a lot of things he shouldn't have done. Mr. Manafort, but didn't register right as a lobbyist, did pay. It's all that kind of stuff. But where's the relationship to what the underlying mission of the special counsel was? Where is any type of collusion or coordination or conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia? To date, not one bit of evidence in any of that to show that there was any type of coordination. So I always just come back to the basics. That's what Mr. Mueller is supposed to be looking at. We have not seen any of that, and yet Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff, they already got the president going to prison. And they said this weekend on the Sunday shows, which is ridiculous.
Hey, listen, I'm just hoping that the new Attorney General will believe in equal justice under the law and equal application of our laws. And if that's the case, and we really are worried about Russian interference, then I think the Uranium One deal shows a lot of stupidity, bad decisions, corruption, and Putin influence. And I think the same thing with the dossier that was disseminated to the American people to make Americans vote against Donald Trump. I'd like that to be dealt with as well. But stay right there. More with our good friend, Representative Jim Jordan, House Freedom Caucus member. And as we continue with Jim Jordan, House Freedom Caucus member, Congressman from Ohio. All right, so it's a little different. I mean, it's a good thing, I will say, that the president worked so hard to save the Senate. because it doesn't matter what Nancy Pelosi does in the end or what the House Democrats do, as extreme as they are, but it makes your job harder. Mm-hmm. And if they're coming with a cannon of subpoenas as they are telegraphing,
yeah,
how do you in the minority fight that?
You focus on the truth. I mean, that's all. That's what you've been focused on, Sean, and does such a good job with. What we've been focused on, Mark Meadows, Matt Gaetz, and a bunch of us in the House. You focus on the truth, and that's got to be our job. So, look, we have an obligation, constitutional duty, to provide oversight of the federal government, particularly in the Oversight Committee, where Elijah Cummings already had 64 subpoenas he wanted to send this Congress. So we assume those are coming the next Congress. But we focus on the truth. They're going to drive how they want to, and they're going to do what they want in subpoenas and hearings and bring people in and all the things they do. Our job is to focus on the truth.
Could you imagine if anybody deleted the emails when they were subpoenaed by Gerald Nadler or any other committee chair of the Democrats and then used acid wash bleach pit to clean the hard drive and bust up their devices? I wonder what they'd say then.
Yeah,
I wonder if they subpoenaed me and I did all those things. What do you think would happen?
You'd be in big trouble. This is the double standard that drives people crazy, and you've talked about it, but it's so true. One set of rules for us regular folk, but a different set if your name is Comey,
right?
Lynch, Lerner, Page, Strzok. You get a different set of rules. You know, one of the things I was struck with, too, and I actually asked this question to Mr. Comey, think about it. Go to the basics. Remember, it was the same people who ran the Clinton investigation who then took over and launched and ran the Russian investigation. And I think you go right back to the beginning. Think of the names they gave each of those investigations. One was called the mid-year exam. That's sort of like you had to get through this. We had to go kind of make it look like we were doing it, but the fix was in and they were going to make sure Clinton was exonerated. And then the other one was called Crossfire Hurricane, which I just think when you step back and think about the names and what those names imply, that sort of right from the get-go shows you there was some extreme bias against President Trump right from the get-go. July of 16, right from the get-go.
All right, Jim Jordan, thank you.